Andrew, it is so good to see you. We have an important question today. Is a trust a must? What every family should know about estate planning. When it comes to estate planning, trusts often sound complex or unnecessary, but depending on your assets and goals, a trust can be a powerful tool. So let's start big picture. What is a trust?
Yeah, most certainly. So a trust is a legal tool. It's an entity that we can use to gather our assets and then distribute based off of our goals.
All
Mhm.
right. And so when does a trust make sense and who might be better off without one?
Most certainly, Aaron. So there's about 30 different types of trusts that are out there,
Right.
right? So there can be a lot of different scenarios that they can be useful for. Maybe we're trying to help shield from taxation long term with federal exemptions. Maybe we're trying to avoid probate. Maybe it's something that we'd like to be able to have post death control for our family and identifying, where we want the funds to go and how we want them to get there. So a lot of different uses for these tools.
Mhm. So you mentioned that dirty word probate, right? So what are the biggest
Mhm.
advantages of using a trust, especially when it comes to probate, privacy, and control?
No doubt about it, right? So it's a very common misconception, right, that a will can avoid probate. We always joke around a will means you will go through probate, right?
Right,
So a
right.
trust is an actual tool that avoids probate. And this is something that you can utilize, to make things quicker for your family. Make sure that you've got privacy so that none of the information is made public. And then, start talking about the ability to make things more efficient and maybe more for your family on the tax side. There's a lot of
Mm.
great reasons to use
Yeah, probate can be expensive. That's a good point.
it. Mhm.
On the flip side, what are the downsides or common misconceptions about trust that people should understand before setting one up?
Yeah, so I think it's always about the goal in mind, right? And
Right.
making sure that we match the right tool to that goal, right? If we had to dig a hole, if you're a gardener, right, we wouldn't want to use a rake to dig a hole, right? So I go through and I look at the same thing when I look at the legal tools. I often get a common question that I'll mention is, if I was to put my parents' assets into trust because they're going into long-term care or they have Alzheimer's or something along those lines, can we avoid their assets being taken? And unfortunately, a lot of times that's too late because there's a 5-year look back period.
Right.
So you've got to have a discussion with individuals that are well versed in this and understand what tool
Right.
is going to make sense for your scenario.
Yeah, and proactive planning is key.
Mhm.
So, as you're mentioning, even with a solid estate plan or even a trust, why are those beneficiary designations so important? And how often should they be revisited?
Yes, Aaron, we revisit this every year with our clients. And
Wow.
the simple reason is that life changes. And most folks don't know this, but a beneficiary designation is another legal tool, and it actually supersedes whatever you would have in place for your will or your trust. So that's something we have to make sure that as life changes for our clients, that we are consistent with our plan and where things are going to flow for their assets.
hmm And Andrew, I always appreciate that you are always thinking of and taking care of the whole family and legacy planning. This is why this is such an important conversation. So, if somebody would like to sit down with you, make sure that they and their family will be taken care of no matter what happens. What's the best way to reach you?
Most certainly. So they can go right to our website, wagnerwealth.org, have the opportunity to schedule a time with our team, maybe even attend one of our classes because we're doing several of them this spring. We'd love to see them.
Yeah, that's a great reminder as well. Andrew, thank you so much for your time today. This was really helpful.
Thank you, Aaron.